Hey guys, today we're going to be using iMovie in the art room. I wanted to create a guide for you to use in case you need to refer back to the things we learned today. The first thing you should do is create a video using your iPad. I have a mounting station that I have set up on my desk. Amazon's a great place to look. Just find one that is tall enough that you can get your whole project in while you film your steps. After you film, you need to export your video from your iPad to your MacBook. You can do this by hitting the share button and then selecting your MacBook to airdrop it to your computer. You can also save it to Google Drive and then upload it on your computer from Google Drive and directly drop it into iMovie from there. It'll take a few moments for it to send from your iPad to your MacBook, so be patient depending on how long the video is that you recorded. When you go to AirDrop, you should see a little box pop up in the corner of your screen saying that you are airdropping from your iPad to your MacBook. Again, depending on the size of the file, this could be a quick drop or it could take a while. Be patient and let that file load. When you airdrop, your video will be saved into your downloads. A box should automatically pop up and your video should be highlighted in your downloads. You can always access this by opening Finder. Once your download is complete, you need to open the iMovie program and select that you would like to create a new project by clicking the plus. You need to select movie and not trailer for our new project. Once iMovie is open and you have created a new project, you need to locate your Finder icon to find your video in your downloads. You can always find anything you airdrop into this area. So on the side panel, click Downloads, locate the file that contains your movie, and click and drag that movie from your Finder into iMovie. Once you've dragged your file into iMovie, you can close your Finder window. Then we're going to need to highlight your video in yellow. Simply click the box to highlight in yellow. Anytime you want to edit, you need to make sure you have selected that item that you want to edit by clicking it and highlighting it. The next step we're going to do is we're going to reduce the background noise. This allows you to get rid of any background noise that might be in your video and get in the way of a voiceover you record later. In order to do this, you need to find the volume button at the top of the screen, click it, and then mute that volume by selecting the mute audio. Try to avoid using your iPad's microphone because the quality is not great. Our next step is going to be to examine how to clip our movie into segments. And so in order to do that, we want to expand that small little box that we see into a longer video to zero in on those areas. You can drag this little tool to expand so that your video is in longer lengths and you can pause where you would like to change the speed. We want to consider where we might be able to speed up some of the areas in our video. To do this, you can simply hover your cursor slowly over the length of your video, or you can tap your spacebar to play through your video. When you find an area that you think you would like to slow down or speed up, you simply have to right-click and select Split Clip to cut that clip. You want to cut the start and end of the area that you might want to speed up or slow down. Another reason you might choose to split a clip is to create a space to add a title. This allows you to display text instead of just relying on audio. So consider this as an opportunity to split your areas as well. Simply move through the rest of your video, scanning through your movie, finding areas where you think you might like to speed up. One of the best uses of iMovie is to split clips and adjust the speeds of your clips for lengthy directions. For example, cutting usually takes a long time, but I might want to show the entire process. I can speed this up later after I cut my clip. If you find opportunities later to speed up other things or add text, you can always go back and add more splits later. As you become more and more comfortable with iMovie, you'll understand where you should split your clips in a very quick manner. Continue to split your clips in areas that you feel are relevant to what you want. I realize the video that I shared with you is not your directions, so you could follow along with what I'm doing on my screen, paying attention to the time in my iMovie box, pausing this video, and cutting it as you go in your own iMovie screen. Remember, if at any point I'm going too fast, you can simply pause this video, bring the cursor back in the video bar, and rewatch it as many times as you need. Once you're done with your clips, we're going to adjust that speed. But before I do that, I'm going to drag my cursor all the way back to the start of my video. Simply use your arrow keys or use your trackpad to get to the first part. When I find that clip that I want to speed up, I'm just going to click it so it's highlighted in yellow. Then I'm going to find the speedometer icon that's located at the top of the video panel. Click that, and you'll see a drop-down menu. It's currently set to normal. This drop-down allows you to slow down a clip or speed it up. I usually go for faster. You have 4 different speed options that you can select depending on the direction and the type of video that you are looking at. Also, don't feel any pressure. You can always go back and adjust the speed if it's not quite right. Once you've selected your speed, you can drag your cursor bar back to the start of that clip and hit your space bar to watch at the speed rate you selected. If you need to, you can always go back and change that speed if you feel like it's moving too fast or too slow. Continue to work through your videos by scrolling through your clips, selecting them in yellow, and finding your speedometer at the top, finding your drop down, and adjusting. You can adjust as many as you'd like, and you can do every clip in a different speed. Cutting, I do a high speed. I feel like sometimes it's taking too long, so I might bump it up to 8 times the speed, watch it, see if I like it. Maybe I want to try 20. If 20 is too fast, I can always back it down to 8. Sometimes when I'm editing, I find parts of my video that I want to delete. It might be me rustling around for material or taking really long because I got distracted. So feel free to delete that by selecting the clip of nothing, like I have here, nothing's happening. Go ahead and right click and you can simply hit delete, or once it's selected in yellow, you can just hit the delete key on your keyboard. Continue to scroll through your video and adjust your speed or delete clips as needed. If you want to watch real time, you can always hit play and watch as your video goes through to best gauge when you should increase or decrease speed or add any other things. Feel free to follow along with me and adjust your speeds as necessary, or feel free to do your own thing right now. Whatever's best for you. The number of times that you might need to split a clip and speed it up really just depends on the type of video you're using and your ultimate end goal for that video. Our next step is going to be adding text using the titles feature. This allows for you to create videos of steps that maybe don't have any sound and don't require headphones. You're going to need to find the titles button. It's located on the left side of your screen, and you can pick any style of title that you like. I really like pop-up best. You're going to click the title you like and drag it into the destination below on your video clip. Let's start with the title for the video we're creating right now. You just have to double click and it will highlight your text on that right side of your screen, and you can type anything you'd like here. I'm going to make my title adding clouds because that's what this video is all about. Once you're done typing, click outside of that box to make that final. Otherwise, the text you just typed will disappear. It's happened to me. Don't worry if it happens to you. You can always go back and change it. Go ahead and continue to add text throughout the movie, dragging your cursor as you'd like, pausing and clicking in the area where you'd like to drag your text, and then editing the text to describe what you want your students to know. Remember, after you type, you need to click outside of that box to save the thing that you just typed. Feel free to add as many text directions as you would like, but obviously short and sweet is going to be more effective, especially for our younger students. You can always make the text time that it's on display longer if you need to, but it's easier for your students to read short little snippets. You can also add multiple text boxes in a row if you needed to give more complicated directions. Feel free to follow along to get in the practice of dragging, editing, and changing titles based on where I'm putting them in the video. Obviously, if you feel like you understand this direction, you could go ahead and skip ahead in this video until you get to our next step. You don't have to do every single one of these with me, but I also want to give you the practice if you'd like it. Sometimes you might decide you want to have your text over your video instead of having a black background. To do this, it's super simple. You're still going to go to the titles and select the text type that you'd like, and instead of dragging it in between your video clips, you're simply going to drop it on top. So watch what I'm doing right now. I'm letting that purple box hover above my rainbow instead of being in between my two rainbows. This allows for me to maybe have a direction with specific words happening in the moment rather than having the screen go black. Another thing I like to do in iMovie is add images. This is great if you're doing some sort of intro lesson and you want to introduce some content. Now to do this, I actually prefer to work with Google Slides. I have a Google Slideshow that I always have open in my browser, and it's titled Picture Directions. I have shared this with you in the folder in Google Drive for the art department. So if you could please find that and then go ahead and find the slide that I'm on. In order to download, all you have to do is select the slide that you'd like, drop down from File, and download as either a JPEG or a PNG file. You can see I have a little box in the bottom of my browser indicating that I have that. Since I'm talking about gluing in my video, I'm going to use some images to help me show what I am discussing with my students. The visual is really helpful. Once I have those items downloaded, I can go ahead and open Finder and simply drag that slide that I just downloaded into my video. So click, drag, and drop in between or behind your video clips. You can add as many slides or images as you'd like by repeating this process over and over again. I highly recommend creating some sort of Google Slideshow if you have visuals that you usually like. Before we do any voiceover work, drag your cursor to the start of your movie and play it through. I find this helpful to look for anything I might have missed or any spaces I want to speed up, delete, add video or title to, and this allows you to kind of make sure everything's in its right place before you start to record. When I record a voiceover, I always want to do this in a quiet setting. You can use headphones if you'd like to record in a mic, but the microphone on your MacBook is actually a really good microphone. Just be aware of background noise. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just letting my video play at the speed my students would watch and thinking about that speed that I have. I'm noticing that I feel like this probably could be sped up just a tiny bit, so I'm actually going to go ahead and highlight that clip, go up to my speedometer, drop down to fast, and change it to 2 times the speed. Then I can go ahead and drag my cursor back to the start of the clip and see if I like that adjustment that I made. I think that it was beneficial, and then I can continue to work through my movie if I need to. Another thing you might want to fix before you record is some of those images that you dropped in from Google Slides. They're automatically usually put to zoom in more of a Ken Burns style. I like to go back and change it. Sometimes it's beneficial, but other times it cuts off important details in your image. This is super easy to do. The only thing you need to go ahead and do is when you have your clip selected, go up to that crop box and you can see Ken Burns is highlighted right now. Crop to fill you can adjust to show what you'd like, or you can do fit to show the entire slide. You can go through to every image as you watch your video and adjust any other crop changes that you need to at this point. Usually for video, I try to show the biggest area possible, but there might be times where you have a specific detail or direction that you would like to focus in on. So one of the really nice things about that crop tool is you can actually go ahead, highlight the clip that you want to zoom in on, like right now, my clouds. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I realize that I need to split a clip here after watching it. I'm going to right click. I'm going to split the clip at the start and end. And then I'm going to go ahead and go up to that crop tool. Then I'm going to hit crop to fill and drag so that I have this small corner highlighted to show where and how I want my students to glue more specifically. This can be really helpful to get them to focus in on specific parts of those directions you recorded, and also leaves less pressure for you as you film. Usually when I rewatch before I do my voiceover, I find a lot of opportunities to clarify things with additional titles, or I find additional things that I could move around. I also usually find places where I can speed up. The more I can speed a direction up, the better. I feel like then it maximizes our work time that we have, especially in our 30-minute class periods. They go so fast. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and record that voiceover. To do this, we are going to go ahead and just speak the directions as the video plays and what we see on the screen. You can pause or delete things if you make a mistake. But to start, let's go to the start of our movie with our cursor. Click to get that cursor to stay there. And then you're going to find the microphone located underneath your little movie box. Once you click that, you'll have a red recording circle that will pop up, and that's going to be how you start the recording. It counts down for you so you know when to start speaking. And you just go ahead and narrate what is currently taking place on your screen. Again, it's okay if you make a mistake, it's okay if something interrupts you, it's okay if the bell rings and you are just saying a sentence. You can also delete this 20 times if you're trying to record in an airport and they keep coming over the intercom and making an announcement about flights. So don't feel any pressure to speak the best words right away. Sometimes it takes a couple takes before you get it just right. If you make a mistake, all you have to do is highlight the green audio box by clicking on it and hitting the delete key. You just drag your cursor back to the start and try it all over again. Hit that red recording circle, and then go ahead and once the countdown begins, try to record your directions a second time. You'll notice when you record sound, it shows up underneath your video in a green box instead of a purple box. So anytime that you might need to edit that, you can go ahead and do so. It's really straightforward in terms of if you need to split it. It's exactly the same as splitting an iMovie. You just simply highlight, right-click, and split it that way. Don't feel like you have to yell or scream at the screen. You simply need to use your regular speaking voice, and the microphone in your MacBook will hear it just fine. Once we're done recording, we're going to go ahead and we're going to export your video to YouTube. This is super simple to do. Simply go up to the top right corner and select the share icon and then select YouTube. You can also download this as a file and upload it through the YouTube website later. A box pops up for me to title my movie, so I'm going to say Adding Clouds. Choose the title that's best for you, and then you've got some options. My normal resolution is 720 pixels, and I always make my videos public to make sure my students can access them. Then there's some legal jargon, go ahead and hit publish. In the top of your iMovie screen, there will be a circular icon that shows your upload progress, and you can click on it at any time. Depending on the length or size of the file you're trying to upload, this could take a matter of 2 minutes. It could take about 10 minutes. So one thing you want to make sure you're doing is if you're doing this during your plan time, you need to make sure you remember to allow for some time for that video to upload. You'll see a little box that pops up that says you are successful, and you're just going to hit visit, and it will take you to the link that you could use to share your video with your students on YouTube. If you do not have success in uploading your video, simply go back and do it one more time. But another thing I want to walk through with you is how to find your videos on YouTube. If you select your picture on YouTube, you can go to your channel. This is something that you can customize if you'd like. I can talk to you about that later. But you want to find the YouTube Studio. You can find this and then locate your videos. And this is kind of your library where you can see any content that you've uploaded to YouTube in the past. So I have videos that I recorded several years ago on here, and it's nice because they're all housed in one place and easy to access. If I need to edit anything in here, sometimes I like to edit the thumbnail that pops up when students see that video. You'll notice there's an option to do so down here. Because it's still publishing my video, there's no thumbnails that are popping up right now. You'll also see a link that you can go ahead and refer to share with students if you need to come back to it. I like to go ahead and use the links that I have to embed into Google Slideshows, and I also will post them to Google Classroom sporadically. But that's basically it. You're done and you've completed iMovie 101. I hope this was helpful and that you can refer to this guide in the future if you have any questions or if you need more assistance doing this on your own time.